All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another Twitter Spaces of Crypto World Radio, hosted by myself on behalf of our favorite sponsor, BecauseBitcoin. Today, we're joined by one of our analysts and traders, Premise. I want to welcome Premise to the show. I don't believe we've formally introduced Premise to everybody as far as like his background goes. So today is going to be more of like a Because Bitcoin community space, and we'll get to know one of our people and introduce them to the Twitter audience. I know it's been more of like real formal stuff and analysis, but over here on my segment, I like to get to know people. So today should be pretty cool, man. Premise, welcome. We're also joined by Naka, and yeah, what's going on, Premise? How are you doing today?
Hey man, welcome. Thanks for having me on board. I am out and about, so if it gets choppy, just let me know. If it gets too choppy, feel free to boot me. But yeah, man, I'm doing great, man. It's a great day, great new year, great start to it. Glad to be on, your show and able to talk about some crypto, some trading, and markets as a whole.
For sure, man. Dude, so what got you into the space? Like, how did you come across the digital asset realm? What brought you into it?
So that's actually interesting. And I've been in since 2017, but I actually had been trying to invest years before that. I just really sucked at it, right? I used to try to like buy stuff like Rocksling gun. It was called like Rossling, like some kind of liquor company. That's what you see where I'm getting at. I used to buy all these things. I used to follow PE ratios and all these things back in the day. During the biggest growth cycle of our life, I was trying to do PE ratio. So I actually was investing for years. It's just nothing was working until I found crypto that gave me my first home run.
And what were the first assets that you got into? Was it straight into BTC, or did you go straight into the shitcoin casino?
Dude, that's the thing. I got in before shitcoins were even huge, right? Like shitcoins were just starting to become a thing. It was really Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP was there and stuff, but there wasn't the list of shitcoins you have today. So yeah, my first purchase ever was Bitcoin. Second purchase was Ethereum on the same day. The first day I watched a video on it, I just FOMO'd. I just went balls in. I was like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. Something to kind of escape the traditional market and kind of be like that rebel that also wants to be savvy with finance. And for better or worse, crypto kind of brought me that. And yeah, so Bitcoin was the first purchase ever.
And when you got into this, were you always in the equity markets, or did you kind of start off with crypto and then you managed to go into equities?
Now, it was definitely equities first. It's just I had no clue what I was doing, right? Like I had zero knowledge. Like they don't teach this stuff in schools where I'm from. I'm from a lower income area. They don't teach anything about investing or stocks. They tell you to get a trade, work 9 to 5, invest your money in your 401k, retire when you're 85. That's kind of like the model. So no, I was definitely in stocks and just kind of picking the wrong stocks, following the traditional PE ratio method, which might be coming back into play. But at the time, we were in a growth boom, so yeah, I was buying duds essentially.
And how did you navigate the market compared to how you navigate it now? I know you use like a lot of macroeconomic data points. So like, what's the difference between now versus back in 2018, 2019?
Yeah, I would say for trading as a whole, adding in the macroeconomic side of it, but also the technical side of it. When I first got investing, I guess some of the technicals was like PE. Looking at charts. I didn't know what a chart was, honestly. I wasn't looking at charts. I wasn't really looking at the Fed and stuff back in 2017. And all that kind of came into play 2018, 2019 as I got serious about wanting, because to understand, I ended up in that bull run, and I don't mind sharing these numbers because I come from nothing. I ended up taking 2,000, like 500, and made 300K and felt like I just escaped the game. And then I rode it for a 90% crash back to 30K after I quit my job. So I took investing super serious once I realized, man, I might have to go back and beg for my job, and managed to escape without having to do that. So yeah, I had to attack the macro and the TA, but I came in just full blind FOMO. I was just like any other crypto guy first day, like, oh, it can go to forever. Bye.
Yeah, yeah. And did you ever get into the Ponzonomic side of things like DeFi, NFTs, or were you always more of a technical type trader?
Yeah, once that happened, I did know this after witnessing 2017. Like you said, the truth is there are Ponzi's in this market. It just is what it is. And I kind of was able to identify them. The experience you gain from going from one run to another is invaluable. Like we had HODL, people came in saying Diamond Hand. You see what I'm saying? We had CryptoKitties, they came in saying NFTs, right? They had I wasn't around during Mt. Gox, but we had other crypto exchanges fall back in the day, and people had FTX this time. So I would say that I played some stuff like the step-in sneakers, FTF, my bad, NFTs. Me, and the CEO Max, we played those, but we knew full on it had to be a Ponzi, something that would be designed. It wasn't really a Ponzi. It was the fact that it was designed to eventually be overbred, and we knew that. We made our money, got out. So yes, there was some stuff I played in, knowing full on that hey, this is just a grab and sell like Safe Moon. I fully flipped Safe Moon, hearing people say the exact same stuff I used to say about TRX. I bought TRX at 0.002. It ran at 30 cents, and I said it can go to $3 and forever. I heard people saying the same stuff for Safe Moon, and I managed to avoid those heavy crashes this time. Yes.
And is there anything in particular that you're looking at right now for the next couple of months when it comes to like any crypto specific narratives or events?
Yeah, when it comes to narrative, I'm still, I guess I'm traditional. I'm the guy who's trying to bridge that traditional with the new, and I want to see that spot Bitcoin ETF, maybe a spot Ethereum ETF. I think if you get those, that seals the deal because those are long-term holds. Those only buy spot hold, right? If you can get that, I honestly think that creates this volatile yet liquid asset that we can trade going forward. So I do look forward to that. I actually do use Bitcoin from time to time for certain use cases, real use cases when I need to transact with someone. So I still kind of like it for that reason. As far as like new coins I'm looking at, I would love to see privacy coins get mastered a little better. I think there's still room for that. And I am kind of looking towards I'm wondering, is AI going to be some kind of new kind of boom for crypto? Right? Like, what's that new narrative? So I am looking for a couple other things, but right now it's just kind of keeping to the basics and looking for like a huge macro add-on to the crypto space to make it legitimate, right?
And what are your thoughts on things like what occurred with FTX? Did you think that would have happened, say in 2020, right, when that exchange was popping off? Did you ever think that something like that would happen? And if someone would have told you that, where do you think the price would be? Because me myself, dude, I legitimately thought that that event was going to take us to catastrophic levels, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, FTX surprises me in multiple ways. The first way is I honestly did not know that they would be someone in trouble. We knew crypto exchanges could be in trouble. I would have betted my money on more of a Bitfinex, Hit BTC, which I don't think exists anymore. Even KuCoin, which I love KuCoin, but I would have betted on those before I bet on FTX because he disguised himself with the amount of politicians, sports stars, which by the way, 80% of NFL players will go broke. So yeah, so athlete money shouldn't be considered smart money. When you start having basketball players and NFL players when 80% go broke, telling you what to invest your money in, you might want to run. But I did not see FTX actually being insolvent. Very surprised. I guess I believed in the guy. I believed he was this nerd who wanted to do good or whatever. Not saying that, I said, put your money with them. Here's the thing. I didn't do that just because I kind of stay away from those type of exchanges. But I thought they were full on legitimate with the US, right? They had the FTX US. They had all these big players behind them and stuff. So no, I didn't see that coming. Though it's not surprising. Like I said, once the rumors popped up and once CZ said something, I jumped on board with it because I was like, well, whether it's real or not, it's about to be when the richest man in crypto kind of goes against you. I wouldn't compare it to anything I saw before. Because like Mt. Gox was before me. We saw crypto exchanges go under in 2017, but Mt. Gox was before me, like I said. Um, I would say this. Once it happened, I thought that was the catalyst to take Bitcoin down. I honestly thought so. Everyone needs to really recognize that Bitcoin showed a lot of strength relatively, for what happened. I guess, they didn't have a lot of Bitcoin, but you would have thought all faith would have left the market, right? I've been here before when faith left market. I've seen it. I've seen Bitcoin go from that 20K down to 3K. nearly 90% correction, right? I've seen altcoins. I took Tron when it was at 30 cent. It came back down to 3 cent on me in like 2 weeks. I've seen 90% wiped off the board. These crashes that happened this year are nothing compared to what I saw in 2017, but for the speed. But in 2017, we had more bounces because it was a fast dip and bounces. So yes, I'm surprised on both ends when it comes to FTX. Surprised me, but then I was surprised Bitcoin held up, which might be a testament to the asset within itself, that people, despite how much crypto keeps scamming us, are still saying I value Bitcoin at about 15, 16K. I do find that impressive, yes.
The premise, I know one thing that you've spoken of, since you're mainly a derivatives player. You had mentioned regulation, and through this, how do you think that's going to look like for a derivatives trader like yourself? How would you say, I'm signing up to an exchange? What would be different to you? That's any implication that regulation is in the market.
I think it's going to be certain players are going to have to play by the rules, right? And what I mean by that is that we would notice that they start cracking down on certain exchanges. It's hard to crack down on it. Here's the thing. And I've had people ask me, and I'm never going to be able to be someone to recommend you use VPNs and stuff. I've had people asking me that in the chat and stuff. Y'all know what you're not supposed to do, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you do something you're not supposed to do, but I think it's more illegal it's up to the exchange to make sure you're not on there. That's the one reason you don't really see people get in trouble for that type of stuff. But I think you'll see a crackdown on that. And for me, it's more about getting rid of perps, and not even just perps, getting rid of margin from shit coins. I mean, certain shit coins. I know everyone's going to hate me for this, but the truth is this. I've seen coins come out like Hugo Finance was this Binance Smart Chain coin, and I kind of worked with the team briefly, and they managed to get these heavy spot markets, right? They got these huge markets, and I knew for a fact these guys were just some fresh kids in. It was so easy to get a dollar market. I want to see Bitcoin trading against shitcoin pairs, and only Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe a handful of others, in my opinion, should have the ability to trade the stablecoin with margin pairs. I know everyone's going to hate me for that, but I preferred it like that. And back then, you used to get what we used to call alt season. Bitcoin pumps, altcoins dump. And when alts pump, they have to sell Bitcoin to get the altcoins, and you would have Bitcoin dump. And you used to have those seasons in 2017. I miss those. I just see so many shit coins come out of nowhere. Remember when Shiba Inu came out of nowhere? It literally, I mean, like within 2 to 3 weeks, it was on major exchanges. And I knew projects that have been building for years who don't have connections, who can't get on major exchanges. I hated to see that. So to me, it would be getting rid of some of this margin and leverage and perpetuals for shit coins, honestly, who don't deserve to have it. That's just the way I feel about that. I know people will hate me for it, but you could still look at Telcoin. You can pump coins. Telcoin, I know a guy who made from $800 over $250,000 off Telcoin, no futures, no margin, no nothing. Most people first bid for everything.
Hey, premise, you cut off there.
Oh, my bad.
What were you saying?
I was saying,
Yeah, you cut off like for five
I was
seconds.
saying, just in proof, you can take Telcoin, which I made, by the way, 300K off of almost $2,000 spot TRX. My buddy made almost $250,000 spot off of Telcoin. It proves you don't really need the leverage in some of these markets, and I think some of them don't deserve it, honestly. That's just where I'm at with that.
Premise. So I'm not sure if you remember, but back when Arthur Hayes was in charge of BitMEX, a lot of the perps on there weren't even on stablecoin pairs. They were all on BTC margin. So are you saying basically that for the next cycle, we'll kind of go back to our roots, where there will be more like BTC pairs instead of like, oh, we have this stablecoin pair, that stablecoin pair? Because essentially, like, with a lot of these altcoins, if there's something like a stablecoin depeg, it can kind of, mess with some of these altcoin prices, because a lot of them have a lot of these more obscure stablecoins in their treasuries. Like some of these projects have the weirdest stablecoins um, in their treasury, and that kind of messes with price. When you look at it from a couple of years ago, they would hold their treasuries in BTC and ETH, and now it's like they now have like stock assets, and it's the weirdest thing ever. And like we've seen in 2022, you can have the same amount of volatility to the downside with some of these stocks. Same thing with crypto. Like I think Tesla actually went down more in 2022 year to date, um, versus something like a BNB or like a QNT. Isn't that kind of crazy? What are your thoughts on on 2022? That's like the next question I wanted to pick your brain on, man. More specifically than talking about derivatives exchanges using BTC as their main pair for collateral.
Yeah, man. The way we saw the market kind of evolve, like I said, I watched it kind of evolve before my eyes, especially I guess with the introduction of all that. I think 2022, when we think about what all happened last year, right, and we had all these projects that everyone just kind of full believed in, and we found out there were these rug projects, even beyond rug projects. Some of the projects just weren't viable for long term. I mean, remember rebase tokens and stuff like that. And, I think about all these tokens that had apparently, in my opinion, no kind of auditing, no kind of background research, who were just given these crazy markets saying, here, go perform on something that's not really sustainable. Rebase tokens never stood a chance to be sustainable, the crazy yields they were producing. So I saw more risk in this in 2022, 2021 and stuff than I had saw in crypto before. A lot of people, like I said, will hate me about the whole, Bitcoin pairing thing. But the truth is this: I've seen people make 100x's, 400x's on markets that didn't have USD pairs. And that's just the facts. It's not really needed. And when you have these small tokens, I think when it comes to that regulation we were talking about, there should be probably maybe even. And here's the thing: I'm not a pro regulation guy, but I'm saying since it's coming and they're going to bring it, if you're going to do it, there should probably definitely be some kind of crypto committee that decides whether a coin is. If you're not even in the top 10, why are we even talking about it having a stable coin pair anyway? That's just where I'm at. I'm sorry. I think BTC stands to gain more value along with Ethereum for having those trading pairs come back. 2022 was kind of a shit show to me. And that's just my personal. I think it's in the proof when FTX goes under, when Celsius goes under, when Luna goes under. I think there was the proof in that. We did not have that many go under the same in 2017 because they just didn't have access to risky markets the same way.
So would you say that for the next halving cycle, we'll see more of a 2016, 2017 type action now that all these players have been flushed out from the market that had a lot to do with getting their private allocations to these sort of perpetual derivative markets?
To me, I wish I could say that, but I'm gonna say no. It's like the war on drugs, right? The truth is this: more and more people have learned about crypto, and when you take down a drug kingpin, someone always pops up next. That's just the facts. It's a gap that needs to be filled. People want risk. People want to see crazy coins flying up. We just had Bonk coin going up for no reason, right? The Bonk coin's the new meme coin, right? And it might not even last long. So I don't think. Look, like I said, I want on official exchanges there to be that regulation. But I think, if we're talking about DEXs, feel free. If you want to get into a Ponzi scheme, you want to get into a hype meme coin, let the people do that. It's their money. I want to see those coins not hit these major exchanges. Think about that. Every crypto exchange, including Binance, was promoting Luna, promoting Celsius and stuff, right? And everyone got screwed on it. Like, there's clearly something that needs to be put in place to kind of protect the I guess we'll call it the basic consumer on side of things, like people who are just trying to first get in, because we scared a lot of people out of the market, right? I hate to see that. Great opportunity lost just because some scammers want to get away with a few million, right? They dream of a few million instead of a few billion, and that's what we're stuck with. So I think it's more of a drug cartel situation. You take down these bad actors, more are on the way. They're probably already here. They're probably already setting up, right? And that's just the way I kind of look at it.
Premise, and I know you had mentioned like relative strength earlier when you look at something like FTX. When we look at something like our total market cap currently from, the all-time high, we're not even at an 80% drawdown, right? Relative to the last market where we were like over 85% in total drawdown. So do you think eventually we're going to meet that criteria of every bear market is going to be the same in terms of drawdown, or do you think eventually like the hardened asset narrative is going to catch up?
Yeah. So it's once again, I keep saying the word impressive with Bitcoin, even though, by the way, alts have been holding up better than Bitcoin lately. Remember, we had a mini alt season where Bitcoin went flat and then finally Bitcoin dumped on FTX. But the only altcoins that actually made lower lows were true shit coins and the coins that were fully exposed to FTX. A lot of coins, the Maddox, the Tail coins, and all these have not went back to old lows. Even Dogecoin, which bottomed at around like 4 or 5, has not returned to there. So Bitcoin has technically been weaker, but Bitcoin has not done a 90% in the last few months. But Bitcoin has, it actually last 2 quarters, but Bitcoin has not done a 90% correction yet. It's the reason why I believe in the 6,900 to 6,600 price. The bottom was 3,100. I remember trading that. I got that recorded on TradingView. And so when I was thinking about a 90% correction, we didn't get it last time. We went to 19.9-ish and we went down to 3,100, right? So we didn't get it last time either. A lot of people want the 90% correction, including myself. Well, I wanted it just so I could grab more Bitcoin. You understand? I got some Bitcoin I bought at 3,200 that I plan on holding forever. So a 6,000 Bitcoin doesn't bother me. I would definitely buy it, but I might not get that, right? That's just the truth of it. When you look at a chart years from now, Bitcoin's at a couple 100K or whatever, and people were saying I was targeting 3,000, 6,000, whatever, it won't look that big of a difference on a chart, one exponential. When you think about that, right? On a logarithmic chart, one day that won't look, this crash won't look like nothing, believe it or not. That's the way. If you look at the apples and all these things that 90% corrected in 2001, look at it now, you can't tell it's a 90% correction. So, that's the way crypto is. And I think it'll grow like that. Like I said, I might have been overly bearish. I'm not saying that it's over and that we can't dip further, but yeah, I might have been overly bearish, honestly. So we'll see. Yeah. Relatively, though, it is holding up strong. Yes.
Premise, and I do have one other question. It's sort of like a retail sort of sentiment. So back in the top, did you have your normie friends tell you like, "Oh, have you checked out this coin? Have you checked out that coin?" And if you did, how do they view this asset class now? Do they hit you up and be like, "Oh, how's your Bitcoin doing? How's your Ethereum going?"
Yeah. So I had that in 2017 going in 2018. I told everyone, my family, loved ones, friends, everyone, I found the secret sauce. I found the gospel, Jesus Christ written in code. It was called Bitcoin. I told everyone this. And, no one really got in. They kind of hesitated. In 2018, I got those calls. I went to the Thanksgiving dinner with my uncles making your Bitcoin. I remember my uncle literally laughing, saying I should ask my financial advisor. They were clowning me. I was getting clowned by my uncles in live person, like, and of course, years later, those same friends, uncles, and stuff would see Bitcoin cross over 20K again. They would see it go to 30, 40. I had a friend reach out to me literally at about 45K, said, "Hey man, I remember you told me about Bitcoin." And here's the thing, I told him about Bitcoin back at 4 to 3,000. He said, "Is now a good time to buy." So I've definitely had my fair share of people kind of like tease me and then come back later and say, how's it now? And they probably bought at the top and they probably got wrecked and they probably hate Bitcoin and crypto and they're going to sell at the bottom to us. But that's just the way it goes. I've definitely been there. I mean, I'm at the stage now where I no longer tell people. I just don't, because I've had friends kind of like, I've had a friend make a lot of money off me. And I'm just, I try to be humble, but I'm going to just keep it real. He made a lot of money off me in 2020 making calls. I forced him to get into Dentcoin before it ran on a 30X run. He went, bought a new Jeep and some stuff. And he finally got into this one project with me. It didn't work out and he complained. That was the last time I ever wanted to tell anyone some advice that was a friend, family that wasn't in this themselves. Just amazing. He changed his life, moved to a whole new state, got a new Jeep and everything, and then finally blames me when one trade goes wrong. So yes, I've had that from people. You just got to ignore them, man.
Premise. So let's kind of shift back now. Imagine you're in January 2022, right? Or December of 2021, more specifically. If someone were to tell you, all right, this is what's going to happen in 2022, and they told you the events, the price targets, and all that stuff, what would you say to yourself then? Would you say, all right, when all that happens, I'm going to start being a buyer here? Or would you err more? Would you like err more to the side of caution? Because to me, if someone told me that all this was going to happen, then at that point, I would want to search for any new narratives as far as some projects that are developing more in the background, sort of like stealth projects. What would you say to yourself? Like, how do you think like Premise in December of 21 would have reacted if Premise from January of 23 were to tell him all the stuff that would happen? Would you be like excited about those things?
Yeah, I would say excited because I kind of was. I actually started going bearish early December. We started kind of I hang out with these guys, they're big in Wall Street, and so they're not crypto guys, but they had me trading crypto for them and I was cashing him out of his fund. He was mad. And the truth was the TA looked bad, but more than that, we started talking about the Fed. And I started realizing that the Fed would kind of affect the markets because we knew inflation was creeping up. About December 2021, I think inflation was getting at about 6%. So we knew inflation was a problem at the time. So I was actually kind of hip to this. And I'm actually glad that the macro world came into crypto. Crypto used to never care about the macro world. I think it's good. It's mature. It's good for the investors to learn about these things and understand why Bitcoin was able to pump off some cheap money as well. I went bullish when the 2020 halving happened. So yeah, I kind of have been on the right side of like the overall trade. So I wouldn't say nothing would change. If he told me in 2023, man, this guy's about to raise rates and send the market to Nukeville, I'd say, okay, I agree. What I wouldn't have known would have been like the FTX, Celsius's. I was always suspect of Luna though. So I wouldn't have known about those, obviously, but I definitely would have still been on the bearish side of things, mainly because, hey, money's about to restrict, and that was just the facts of that. But I think it's a good thing. I see so many crypto guys saying they hate the Fed, and why does crypto care about the Fed? And I used to kind of think that too, but it's like, it's a good thing that it's helping. Crypto brought us into the market, and now we're learning about these macroeconomic things that, let's be honest, a lot of our parents probably don't know shit about. They don't know who Jerome Powell is. They know who Trump is. They know who Biden is. They never fucking heard of Jerome Powell. They have no clue the power this man has. So I do like the fact that macroeconomics has kind of mixed more heavily into crypto. And it could have been like that secretly, and we never knew it. But like I said, 2017, we never gave my bad, I was about to cuss really loud. We never gave a dang about who the Fed was and stuff. So it's definitely a different environment. I love it.
Premise, what are some things that you want to see, not only on a technical level, but on a fundamental level, that would shift your narrative from, well, not from, but more like towards a bullish perspective? What are some things that you'd like to see from a technical level, BTC specifically, and also on a fundamental level?
Yeah, from the technical level, I actually really wanted 10K, 6K. People got to understand, I traded the markets back in 2018. We stayed at 6K forever. We actually glided on 6K, I think, for a whole month where we never left that range, if I remember correctly, before we had that puke. And then 10K was another massive level that kept rejecting. Those were the technical levels that would have made me a full confident bull, which I wouldn't have cared if I would have got melted, honestly. But I would say for fundamental sides of things, because I don't care if we reach that technical level, for the fundamental side of things, I've already mentioned the spot ETF. That's important just because that's long-term spot buying. There's only 21 million Bitcoin in the world. And when we talk about ETFs, over 40 billion, sometimes 50 billion a month goes into ETFs. So when you start talking about spot buying some Bitcoin, depending how big that gets, that could be massively huge for accumulation. We can get a lot of Bitcoin over time taken out of the market if the America decides to go that way. Some countries already have. So for the fundamental side, I would just love to see that kind of spot exposure. I hope we didn't burn that chance because we know FTX destroyed an entire pension fund. I think they had some exposure. They probably didn't destroy it, but they lost the pension fund money. So these were the reasons why I did take what, the SAM SBF and stuff did serious. Like, yo, we're trying to get a spot ETF, and this greedy SOB comes in and just cannot help himself but to scam them. All you have to do is accumulate, collect, let spot ETF come in, and you're going to get paid down the road. No, he wants to scam it and potentially take away that opportunity. I can't say that if they ever will do it. I believe they will, because I believe they see the opportunity for themselves to make money. I think I heard something about Google supposed to be buying Solana down at near the low. So like I said, there are these major entities, including the Fed and all these hedge fund managers who I believe if Bitcoin gets low enough, they will eventually accumulate it, because to them, it's just an easy way to make themselves rich when they're buying and their portfolios performing well if they can get to that level. So I want to see that. I want to see the spot Bitcoin ETF. I think it's the biggest thing that can happen to Bitcoin. If it happens, buckle up, because that's long-term, year after year, spot holding, not selling.
Premise, and does that fit into your narrative of, as far as crypto is concerned, that this is our last crypto bear market as we know it, So when you say that, do you mean like no longer will we see the nasty 80% corrections and see more of an equity style correction where it's sort of this dragged out 40% correction? Do you think the spot ETF would have any chance to influence that?
It can help. It's the start. It's the start because, a lot of people were wondering, even with equities, like, oh, why are equities moving on these rallies and stuff? Well, spot has been buying the bottom the entire way. Our mom and dad's 401ks have been buying the bottoms, and they buy regardless. They don't care. They go to work and they buy every day. So I do think it helps. I think it helps because you get a constant liquidity that you can escape from, right? And then even after you sell yours, guess what? They're buying more, right? So it creates that FOMO where it's like, dang, eventually, if everyone sold, there's going to be nothing but spot buying. So I think it creates the ability to eventually get there. The market cap for Bitcoin is not high enough yet. It's got to get higher. I'm not saying it's got to be gold. It's just got to be higher. Even Tesla, when it was at 300 billion, was still volatile, right? So it takes a long time to get to those levels, but I think it's the first step to kind of creating that permanent. I call it permanent exit liquidity. That's why I like the idea of this. It's not one of those things where we got to like full on create these crazy events. Perhaps one day Bitcoin can only suffer 40-50% drawdown, similar to the stock market, while individual alts still do 90%. So no, I think there'll still be bear markets. I still think there'll be times where people want more cash, but it is definitely a start to set up that spot ETF, man, especially since there's only 21 million of these things. The price, in my opinion, depending how much money you can allocate to it, I always thought, what if you get 5%? 5% of all, let's say, pension funds, et cetera, 401ks, et cetera, just getting crypto exposure, specifically Bitcoin. That's massive. It's massive from where we are. And over time, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, how many Bitcoin are really going to be circulating in the market unless Bitcoin's price shot up so high where they're not buying it all at once? Because right now, if you came to the market every single month buying 10, 20 billion worth, right, that's pretty damn good. I think we'd all be pretty happy to see that. I'm not saying it gets there anytime soon. So yeah, I do think that is one way to do it, though.
And as for the spot ETFs, do you think that arrives towards the bottom of the market to get us out, or do you see it more like a top signal, like the Coinbase IPO? The Coinbase IPO was actually pretty significant, probably the largest event in all of crypto's history, in my opinion. If like regardless whatever the Bitcoin community thinks about the equity markets and VCs and all that stuff, the fact of the matter is, something like Coinbase helped onboard a lot of new users, and with other things like Tesla and MicroStrategy opening up their balance sheets to Bitcoin, I think that adds to the value prop of Bitcoin a lot more than, say, like 10 angry guys on a space talking about how Satoshis are going to help an impoverished nation. So what are your thoughts on, like, when do you think a spot ETF is going to create a narrative? Do you think it's more top signalish and then it helps influence the market long term, or do you think it's something that can happen from the bottom of a market? Because to me, it signals a top signal for the cycle. You
I,
know.
the only reason I'm not going to agree that it's the top signal is because really the futures ETF was the top signal. They came out with the Bitcoin futures ETF after we did the first pullback, right? And it was before we went to 69K. The reason why we went to 69K, everyone was wondering, would the spot come next? And we started slowly bidding up. Bitcoin had this mechanical, slow buy up. I remember trading this with my buddy. We were talking about the ETF. Obviously, the spot ETFs were turned down. We topped out at 69K. That's all she wrote. Well, what had happened was they approved futures, though. They had approved these futures buying, which meant they could short markets. I think that's what that really signaled. So I think when the spot comes in, these hedge fund managers want to wipe us out. Then they'll show up at the last minute, say, you know what, we should approve a spot Bitcoin. Maybe we'll get another dip, kind of like the halving. When you get the halving, you get an initial dip just because they're trying to fake out everyone who just max long. So yes, you're right. There will be an initial dip, but I think then we'll get the accumulation, especially as it comes in, because people will realize, wow, that's a huge opportunity to get exit liquidity every single month is what a spot Bitcoin ETF. But they actually approved the futures ETF first, and the results were what we got, a huge crash from the highs that they started that. It was a huge signal to me. I didn't jump on it that day because I was hoping for spot, but after spot fell and I looked at the charts, I was like, yeah, it's time for the correction. And we since then we went from over 60K down to where we are now. So I think they already set us up, and I think the next time they do it, there might be more of a dip. But I do think they'll look like geniuses. They'll bring in the big returns when they start spot buying Bitcoin and it does a run. Even if that run is from 3K to 10K, that's a hell of a run, right? So I'm not saying all-time highs. Everyone compares Bitcoin all-time highs. I don't look at it all-time highs. I'm a trader. I don't mind it at 20K. I don't mind it at 2K. Because when I use it for the purpose it's used for. And when I'm trading it, I'm just looking to flip my money, right? So I know a lot of people care about the price of Bitcoin. I'm one of the few people in the world who don't give a damn what the price of Bitcoin's sitting at.
Yeah, I know something that I've been looking at for the second half of 2023, and it can start, early Q3, early Q4. But my thing is looking at an echo bubble, something that leads towards the halving. And when I say echo bubble, I agree right with you. Premise: I'm not looking at all-time highs. I'm looking at something, 13K to 40K, something like that. And in between that, you'll catch a lot of these like DeFi projects that are scheduled to come out around that time that could potentially add significant ROI for upside volatility. Um, so, with that being said, we're about halfway through, a little over halfway through the space. If you're a new listener here, we're just having a casual space with one of the analysts from Because Bitcoin, and I host these spaces, Crypto World Radio, on Because Bitcoin Twitter Spaces, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But depending on the guest and time zone differences, it might be a little bit later or earlier. You'll be able to catch this space on our YouTube channel. It should be under the playlist Crypto World Radio. Typically, we upload these spaces 5 to 10 minutes after the space is concluded. And for the audience here on Twitter Spaces, be sure to check up the link above for our Discord. We have officially crossed 1,100 members, and it's a 24/7 space. Man, there are so many people active there now, across across all hours of the night, man. And in the wee mornings, we have people from the Netherlands, we have people from Europe, UK, America, South America, everywhere. Really, it's becoming more of a global community, and I absolutely love it. And if you haven't followed the Because Bitcoin Twitter page, feel free to do so now and click on the bell notification so you can be notified whenever these spaces go live. We also have Market Talk at 4:15 um, p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, hosted by Carter, and then myself with Crypto World Radio at the times that I just gave you guys. And then we have a YouTube stream Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with our CEO Max, Premise, and Snorlax. And they give some daily news updates in the equity markets and the crypto markets sort of things, and also some general TA stuff that's very informative. So it's essentially a around the clock content stream from the morning all the way to the evening. And also check out our website. Valentin has been putting out a tremendous amount of articles. Shout out to Valentin. I see him down in the audience, and I'll actually have him up as a guest over the coming weeks. So look forward to that, guys. And I see we have Nakamoto Lisk as a speaker. So we'll now be taking any questions and statements from individuals in the audience. So if you want to come up and speak, give your thoughts, ask some questions, feel free to turn on that request button, and I'll bring you right up. So Naka, I know you had your hand raised up for a minute. So yeah, floor is all yours, man. If you want to ask something, add in some statements, feel free to do so, brother.
Hey, sure. Yeah, one just brief thing I wanted to put in as a counterpoint to what Premise said was I don't think there's a real need to ban perps. Like, you know, when you have futures and options, all they're really doing is they're helping price discovery, right? Like, if people are selling spot, you can't support that with longs, right? If people are buying spot, you can't prevent that with shorts, right? Eventually, the side of the leverage that's wrong based on what the spot's doing is going to get liquidated. So I don't think that there's like some grand sort of evil with perpetuals and options. I think they're fine. There has been some market manipulation, but that's connected with centralized exchanges like FTX that were basically using customer funds to sort of pump their bags, right? And that's the problem. The problem is centralized exchanges. The problem is not derivatives.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, like, I don't want to be the guy that just hates derivatives, because you're 100% right. It's not like they have to be evil, but I will say there's like projects like when you saw like I think the Steppen tokens, GST and or GMT, one of them had like a perps, and I'm just like, why does this have perps? Right? Some of the stuff I'm just like questioning myself, like, why does it even have perps or really small? Like I said, I knew these guys who started the Hugo project on Binance Smart Chain. They got put on a couple of exchanges like Bitmart, and they got these spot markets easily. It was very easy to get the spot markets. It did make me concerned about how much of these spot markets are even real and stuff. And so you're right. I am kind of being like a crypto boomer, probably. I just felt like things were easier, more trust. Because like I said, you could see Tailcoin. Tailcoin has made a guy really rich off of almost a little investment, and that was spot. So we don't need the perps to make like everyone thinks perps is going to make them rich when likely they're going to make you broke. And versus like my biggest trade ever was still a spot trade, $2,000 to 300K was a spot trade. The more I look at it, everyone who I know has had their biggest trade on spot. It's kind of crazy when you think about it like that. But you're right. It doesn't mean they're evil. It doesn't mean they have to be gone. Just kind of something I want to see leave some of the shittier markets. Maybe Sam and them could have still scammed all those Solana markets, but every single Solana coin got a perp market, not a perp market, but a USDT, and some of them got a perp market almost right away. And then we find out there's a lot of fuckery going on there. But you're right; it's not fair for me to just call into them. I just think it takes
Yeah,
away some
I
of
mean,
the
I,
scammy.
I think what was happening with those Solana scams is like you'd have some VCs who would have like 99% of the supply of some scam token, and it would get listed, and there would be perps immediately, and the VCs would short their own token, and then they would dump spot, right? So that way they could basically double dip because they were making money from selling the spot, and they were also making money on their short. And on top of that, they knew that their short wasn't in danger of liquidation because they were the ones in control of the spot supply. So, if the price went up, they could just dump more spot to like keep it down. So anyone who went onto FTX and took the long side of that trade against them was just getting completely wrecked, right? So the problem there is really centralization. It's not perps. Perps exist to aid price discovery, so that a trader who wants to be short 100 Bitcoin doesn't actually have to have 100 Bitcoin worth of capital, right? You can have a certain amount of margin on the exchange, and that allows you to express an opinion. And you can do the same with options, right? You can be short a lot of Bitcoin via options or long a lot via options, without risking a lot of capital. If you don't have um, derivatives, then basically to be long 100 Bitcoins, you have to tie up a lot of capital, right? And you might not want to do that because you might just want to be like, oh, I'm long Bitcoin from 17K to 17.1K, and then I'm short from 17.1K back down to 16.9. But if you're just doing small trades like that, and you have to do it with like 1x leverage, you have like huge exposure, right? You just have this huge amount of capital that's exposed to the exchange, and you don't really want that. So, I don't personally think the problem is derivatives. I think the problem is centralization. It's centralized exchanges that are scamming people. That's just my take, though.
Premise, what are your thoughts on like DeFi derivatives, including things like options markets and things like that? How do you think that's going to fare out into the next cycle?
Well, I want to be optimistic. Like I said, we're here's the facts of it. I want to be optimistic on stuff like DeFi, crypto, and stuff. DeFi isn't relatively new. We had a form of DeFi that was a complete scam called BitConnect back in 2017. I tell everyone I've heard every narrative before.
premise premise you remember now that like you mentioned Tron a lot earlier, but people forget that it was actually Tron that had that first mover in DeFi. Do you remember
Yeah,
Tron bet and Tron roulette in
yeah,
2018, dude? And then
yeah.
also EOS, or EOS, however you want to pronounce it, with Block One, and like they're absolutely clunky and disgusting user interface with their wallet to interact with their dApps. And I believe Neo actually had they had something like CryptoKitties, and there was like 60 active users, and it was insane to see it at the time. I think it was called dApp Radar. dApp Radar, I believe it was called. I think it's under a new name, but it was called dApp Radar. And at the time, it was like the second half of 2018. At the time, there was this blockchain called Wax, WAX, and it actually had the most daily transactions and user, like by user, I mean like unique wallet addresses more than any other blockchain, and it was pretty unique to see that, dude. It was pretty unique to see that. Like, wow, this thing that's like down 90%, and then come to know that the main guy from Wax at the time was actually an early innovator in BTC. By early innovator, I just mean like early investor, early miner, whatever you want to call it. Um, so that's pretty interesting. I see we have one more request to speak. Guys, before you come up to speak, I do want to mention that there are some rules: no talking over each other, no cursing, and do not bring any like sort of religious ideology when it comes to digital assets. Please, 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 please. Let's keep it clean. We're running a tight ship here. So I'm gonna bring you up, BTC Pastor.
While you bring them up, I want to finish that note on that. It's like, yeah, I had saw these things like DeFi before. And so the thing is this, they're one of those things that could work. But the problem is humans, right? If you get a government, I don't care whether it's democracy, I don't care if it's, or let's just say this, I don't care if it's like capitalism or some kind of like dictatorship, whatever. It's all about the person in charge, right? Or the people in charge. You're speaking about Tron. Tron had DeFi projects. We've seen DeFi projects fail. But the thing about Tron, they had super representatives and they wanted to be away from a government so bad they became a government. I remember you could put in for projects. The only projects they ever chose to get funding from the Tron pool was projects that the super representatives themselves had started, right? So that's the problem. The problem with crypto isn't the algorithms, the blockchain. It's just that still there's people behind it who are the kingmakers and the controllers, and it brings in psychopaths. It brings in con artists. People have to be more vigilant for their own because there's no one here to protect you in this space. That's just the truth of it. The space can work, but the people have to become more educated and recognize when they smell bullshit.
BTC Pastor, go ahead, man. Welcome. Hey, BTC Pastor, go ahead, brother. Go ahead. Am I coming in clear, guys?
Yeah, he's just on mute.
Okay, okay. Yeah, BTC Pastor, go ahead, ask your question, give your statement. Welcome to the stage, brother.
Thank you. I think I'm having mic issues. Go ahead. I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, it seems to be working now.
Yeah, you're good now, dude. You're good now.
Thank you. Yeah, just kind of general question because there's a lot of confusion going on with macro being kind of been divergent with what's going on the last couple of days with some of these altcoins and different things. So general consensus, bull trap, or should we be taking this type of stuff seriously? Because some of these alts are down so much. I don't. People are asking questions, and I just am wary. So I don't want to lead people down a wrong path and get them stuck. Because I have my mindset, but trying to advise some others with some of these alts, and just didn't know your thoughts. Thank you.
No problem, man. Well, dude, in my eyes, then we'll go on to premise to answer your question. In my eyes, dude, a market is a market. But this price action reminds me of like the later part of the summer or like late October, where you had a lot of like vicious rallies. But this time it's coming from more of like the spot market. Like I can't even tell you the last time that I saw, something like Gala put in a 60-70% candle back to back. Like I haven't seen that since the spring of 2022, right? Um, but again, like some of these alts are down 99%. So these squeezes do happen and not everything goes down in a straight line. But as far as being wary, I mean, Solana's up 2x. The last time that Solana was super oversold and put in a candle like that was the top of the rally in August. So those are kind of my thoughts. I don't really think anything. I don't really think anything of it, dude. I think markets are just going to do what they want to do.
Right.
If people want to buy alts, just let them do it, man. Um, that's what makes a market: buyers and sellers. But
Thank you.
for myself, man, I will be like brisk on second half of 2023. Will be less than a year out from the halving, and I'm giving myself some leeway given that equities are in a bear market. So this might be an extended bear market, but I'm not really gonna get into that, man. Premise, go ahead, man. If you want to give your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I would say this. Yeah, it's legitimate. And I mean, not saying that means the bottom is in, but you get bear market rallies. A lot of people get overly bullish and they never play the pullbacks. And a lot of people get overly bearish and they never buy the bounces, right? So I think we're in an opportunity right now where there could be bounces. This is a brand new year. There's a lot of capital that's been on the sidelines. Let's be honest. When's the last time the Fed raising rates has dropped prices? Yeah, that's a serious question. It's been a long time. We've raised rates multiple times. I think 375 or 275s and a 50 ever since the last time it caused markets to go down. So to me, the narrative of the Fed is not enough to send prices down no more. FTX happened and Bitcoin went down a little piece. Solana FTT took a nosedive, but most alts held up higher than their bottoms, their local bottoms, if you really pay attention. So you get these things what I call traders market. When there's no more sellers, because I don't see sellers. Where are they? Everyone keeps saying they're bearish, but no one's shorting. Because if everyone was shorting, the market would be moving down. So when there's no more bears or not enough bears to sell, and there's not even buyers, who takes over? Traders. Traders come in, they say, well, what's the most pain right now? I think it's to the top side. We're so low on stuff. And that's not saying bottom is in. As a trader, I can tell you, you can knock 40%, 50% plays out in the market. Look, Solana just went up 100% from an $8 mark that we had marked out on our lunchtime show. I got too bearish trying to go for 5, but we had a 618 level on the Binance chart at $8, exactly where we bottomed, and it wicked off it. So that was stupid of me. I normally catch those, but I caught myself being too bearish. When there's no more sellers, then normally the traders will probably take it up, and when there's no more buyers, the traders will take it down. I think it's legitimate to look at some possible bounces. I'm not saying go invest your entire bag here. We know about the recessions from the macro side people are talking about, but the truth is you need 2 negative quarters for that, which means we have a long way to go before we can say we're in a recession. And the truth is unemployment looks really good. There's a lot of jobs. I see help wanting everywhere. So I think there's room for a brief uptrend here. So I would say that it's okay if they got the right technical analysis and they really love the coin and they're okay with seeing some pain in case they're wrong or using stop losses. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking a shot. We made a bunch of money just in, what was that, August? Was it August, September? No, it must have been September, October when I first joined because Bitcoin. We had alts running. Tailcoin went up over 100%. Matic, come on. Everyone saw what Matic did. Chainlink, Dogecoin. The entire BB crew, most of us caught the Dogecoin play. We were buying down at 5 and 6 cents, ran to 16 cents. I think we could be in one of those situations. Did that mean the bottom was over? No. We saw what happened after Dogecoin ran to 16 cents. FTX happened. We had a huge dip on Bitcoin. But I would say, yes, there's always a chance to catch some altcoins. I want to remind people, coins like ADA and BNB were running off the bottoms well before Bitcoin ever went over 20K last run. Well before it. Not saying I'm bullish, saying there's a chance, yes.
Premise also with some of these altcoins, they quite literally went down over 50% after the FTX crash. ADA, AVAX, Sol, they all put in negative 60% candles for Q4. And when you have something like that, you get laughed at for saying, oh, this might be good for a bounce. You know what I mean? I believe I had said that. Oh, Sol looks good for an echo bubble play. I think it was like just under $9, and it's like, oh, you're bullish on Sol now, and it's like, no, sir, Sol's down over 70% for the stupidest reason ever. But yet, there's all these spaces with the community going on, and there's still onboarding of devs, and things of that nature, right? And I think they even forked Serum on Sol. And might as well take a jab at it, right? But people scream at you in this market for wanting to get into a position after nasty downside candles. But when something's up 200-300%, ooh, it looks like I might have to take a dabble now. Things look great. And shit just doesn't work like that. But
it's like, like I said, a lot of people like to say it's going to zero. Don't take that literal. In most bear markets, there are bounces and huge. By the way, a lot of people don't know this. This is the thing about shorting. Unless you're compounding your shorts, there's normally more money on the top side. We caught a lot of altcoins that did that huge crash, but then they jumped 100-200% or something. Q&T, I think, was up over 200% off the lows if you would have followed the TA on it. Hell, I even bought Netflix crashed 70%, but then pumped over 90% but before the end of the year, and I bought at 166. So I think some people do get too distracted because, it's scary to buy in a bear market. I get it, but you got to play your gut, play your macro, and play your TA. I mean, I normally always catch some kind of bottom dip that pays more money than what people been shorting all year. Like literally when it comes to these dips. Yeah. Well, going to zero is just something people like to say. Don't take it serious.
Yeah, I wonder what the sentiment's going to be like if Ethereum makes a new low or BTC makes a new low. Like we can all talk about prices and everything, but it's all about sentiment. If we look at what happened near the lows, how many spaces were going on talking about like the doom and gloom of the market, you know? It's sort of history never repeats, but it often rhymes, right? So this time is not different.
Yo, Wabi, that's like 2018. I remember my buddy was telling me don't touch Bitcoin down at 3,200. I literally went off the TA on that one. Everyone knows the 200 moving average on the weekly was there, and I really wanted to play it. And it's like people get so bearish. I remember in 2018, everyone saying Bitcoin was going to zero. That was it. And I actually thought it could have been it. I just played the TA and called a good buy. And when you buy from 3,100, it pumps to 12K. That's a 400%. But at the time, more of the bears were bragging about, they shorted from, I guess, 15K to 4K or something, whatever they were bragging about. So, yeah, I would say don't get overly bearish ever. There's always great buying opportunities to catch those.
Gosh, especially with altcoins, dude. Like, why in the world would you want to short an altcoin that's down over 90%? Are you functional? Are you right in the head? Like, you got to wonder how many people shorted something like Cardano at 25 cents. You idiot. You're fried. But anyways, I don't really feel like going on a rant. I'm going to wrap up here. Naka, you can go ahead, man. I'm literally about to wrap up, bro. I'm tired.
I was going to say, the weird thing about altcoins that are down 90% is they still have another 100% to go.
Right. Let's see how that works out, man. Let's see. But anyways, man, I want to thank you guys for coming on to Crypto World Radio for another episode. I'm going to wrap up here. We just reached that hour mark. So Premise, I want to thank you for coming up here, man, taking the time out of your day. So the audience can formally know about where you come from and like how your mindset is when it pertains to the digital asset realm. So thank you for coming up, man. Thank you. It's good to be right alongside you here because of Bitcoin. I want to thank the audience for coming on again as well. If you guys aren't following the Because Bitcoin page, please do so and turn on bell notifications. And feel free to join our Discord, which is up above. And after my show, we'll start with Market Talk. Not Market Talk, sorry, Market Check at 11 a.m. Eastern Time up on our YouTube channel. And then Market Talk at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time with our boy Carter. And then myself at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you. Thank you all. I'm going to go train now. So be safe. Take care. Have a nice night. The space is going to be re-uploaded onto our YouTube channel. So be sure to check that out. Leave any feedback, like, comment, subscribe, turn on bell notifications. In case you're not able to make it to these spaces regularly, you can always channel. And all of our shows are re-uploaded there. Market Check, Market Talk, and also Crypto World Radio. So thank you once more. Peace out, and God bless you all.
The trading current is just math. It's just math. It has a 95.45% hit rate when we deviate outside of CP2 and CN2. All you had to do is recognize that 95% of the time when we get over here, under this blue line, we get some sort of mean reversion. So let's just assume you long right here. 95 out of 100 times, when I buy this, I'm going to get some sort of bounce. It's just math. Look what would have happened as we move up. Look at the bounce that came after. And now look where we are. If you had just blindly followed the current, you take all emotions out of it, you say, I'm going to trust the statisticians, you would have bought Dow Jones somewhere down here under 30,000. You know, depending on how you want to measure it from absolute top to bottom, 20% move. We also have multi-time frame alerts. You don't even have to be at your computer on TradingView. You can ping your phone. Now, the current has some really awesome features, and I would urge you guys to join our Discord to get access to it. We give it away for free as a tool to the community. It's just math. There's really no need to overcomplicate things, not even in the slightest.